And we're live once again, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, man, back up in this thing. So here you go. Here we go. It is a beautiful Sunday morning, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Uh, do something a little different, man. Like I said some time ago, you know, the political stuff is leading right now, so that's where my attention is. But we're gonna expand this thing a little bit, man. We're gonna talk about all kinds of things. Like I said, that uh, anything that just puts something on me, that I feel like I need to speak on. That's what I'm gonna speak on. And today is an example of that. Something that is not political at all, but something I think needs to be spoken about. So last night, after I must say, my pork loin was a grand slam. I don't like to toot my own horn, man, but I put my foot all in that. So, anyway, um, got done eating. Just kind of relaxed, had a nice night, and watching TV. Game Show Network is on. Game Show Network. I, I don't know what it is about that damn channel. You turn it on, and you're just like, okay, I'll watch a couple episodes of Family Feud just to see all the Steve Harvey suits. But one episode turns into three, three turns into five. The next thing I know, it's over. And then this other show comes on called Idiot Test, which, Idiot Test it's a clever show, right? For those who haven't seen it, it's just basically it's a puddle. It's a puzzle that's on the screen, and people just got to kind of figure it out what the prompt is asking within an allotted amount of time. It's a pretty decent concept. Well, I was watching that show, I was kind of getting into it, and then obviously that show popped off after a few episodes, and then this other show comes on that I've never heard of before. Um, Excuse me. It's a show called what was it called? EmoGenius. EmoGenius. That's it. So, as the name insinuates, the show is centered around emojis. Which I'm like, okay, this is an interesting concept. Let me see if I can kind of sink my teeth into this. And I'm watching it. The host, I looked at him immediately. When I looked at him, I was almost turned off, completely turned off to the show. Just some skinny, punky kind of guy with weird glasses. And I'm just like, okay, all right, here we go. So, anyhow, you have these teams, and they're trying to figure out messages that are sent using emojis. I'm like, okay, that's a pretty interesting concept. So let me just delve a little deeper. Well, this is not about the show. Okay, this is about one of the contestants on that show. You had two teams. You had a team of these two black ladies. I can't remember. I think they were friends. I don't know. They might have been dating. I have no idea. Their relationship was somewhat ambiguous, and the host didn't really pry, which I thought was interesting. And I don't mean pry like get all in it, but there's usually some cursory explanation of how these two people came together, and then from there you can kind of suss it out. Well, he didn't really pry too much into it, so all right, whatever. But the other couple, that's where my issue was. It was this guy and this girl who met on Tinder, and no problems there. That's do your thing. That's the way the world is now. People have kind of streamlined a lot of processes in their lives, and dating has been one of them. No problem. Uh, Met my girl on Hinge. No problems there. So my problem was with this dude, though, and I'm going to use that term very loosely. Okay, there were several things he did during his time on that show that just really, really rubbed me the wrong way. So, first and foremost, we're introduced to this couple. And I'm looking at this guy, a pretty, standard, handsome dude. Okay, no problems here. But so they introduce themselves, and I'm going to try to remember this play by play. So they introduce their team name was, I think, Team, what was it? Oh, that was it, because that was the first thing. They were called Team Shutdown. So I was like, okay, coming out with a little bit of shit talk, I got it. You gonna shut down the competition? No, that wasn't it. Team Shutdown was because when they first met, they stayed in the restaurant until the restaurant shut down, just talking. All right. Okay. All right. All right, guy. Get it. You're excited. You like her. Wonderful. All right. Let that one pass. So then the next thing, the guy's asking him, the host is asking him about their relationship. Okay, so you guys met on Tinder? Yeah, yeah, we met on Tinder. Yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, good, man. How long you guys been dating? Oh, man, we've been together for 2 years. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And we've adopted a fur baby. Now, this will probably be a different episode altogether. But there are certain things that if you are a male, a heterosexual male, certain words should never come out of your mouth. Fur baby is definitely one of those words. So this man, oh, we adopted a fur baby. Yeah, yeah. So okay, all right, all right. Look, fine, fine. Wasn't bothered me. Yes, wasn't going to rant about it at all. Wasn't. Was just going to say, okay, this is just the guy. Whatever. Let's get past it. Let's play the game. And now I'm ready to play the game. Let's play the game. I don't want to hear nothing else about this man. Just play the game. Just strictly like that episode of what was that? It's Always Sunny, where they were kind of doing the parody of Family Feud, and who was the prompter? Oh, Key, the guy from Key and Peele. His name's Keegan something. I can't think of his name right now, but where he was interviewing, obviously the main character's family, Dennis and Dee and all them, and the Reynolds family, and they're, he's like, you know what? I'm just not going to ask you guys any more questions. I'm not going to ask you anything that doesn't keep the game moving forward. That's kind of where I was with this guy. So, anyhow, so we got the fur baby out. Okay, we got the, greatest thing that's ever happened to me thing out. Okay, all right, all right, all right. Got it. You're happy. Cool. Let's keep moving. So, they play around and they come back and they kind of talk some more. I mean, if you've watched game shows, you kind of are familiar with the format, but just for the sake of telling this narrative. So he goes back to the guy again. And the question then becomes, so what do you do? And he's like, oh man, yeah, well, he's asking both of them, to be fair. And he's like, yeah, I'm a car salesman. And the guy in the host is like, oh, okay, cool. So, what's your closing pitch? He's like, well, for guys, I just play their ego. And he said it in such a dismissive, like, kind of, this man is so stupid. And he's like, but for women, like, oh man, they just know. They just come in, they know the prices, they know the cars, they know what they want. Women just know. They just know. They're so much smarter. At this point, man, and here's the thing, like, who are you trying to impress? Who are you? Because I mean, the crowd is not, it's standard game show crowd, so they clap when prompted to. But there's nobody, like, going above and beyond, giving you a woo or anything like that. It's just, okay. So, like, who are you trying to impress at this point, dude? You got your girl right there. So, all right. And now these things, I'm telling you, these things are just starting to build in my mind now. And the show is slowly becoming unwatchable for me. So, this guy, this sissy continues on, and his girl's up next. I forget what she does. She does something simple, I think. I think she's like a teacher or something like that. I can't remember. It might have been another contestant. I've learned a lot about a lot of strangers' occupations over that 2 hours of TV. That's really not important. What was important, though, was she was like, oh, but I can tell you what I can do. I'm really good at impressions. And of course, here comes Beta Boy to co-sign. Yeah. She's really good. She's really good. So as if the host wasn't going to pry into that. So anyway, she's like, no, I'm really good at impressions. And he's like, okay, so what impression do you do? And she's like, my best one is, okay, here's the impression of a woman with plastic surgery. As soon as she said that, I'm like, that's odd. Unless you can do something weird with your face. There were people like back in the day could do something where they made their hairline move, or they could do something that kind of distorts the normal layout of your face. Okay, well, let's have it, I suppose. So this broad just furrows her eyebrows. She just furrows her eyebrows like a normal person who's angry, and like smiles really, really hard. And no one cared. The host had nothing to do with that. He just was just like, oh, okay, yeah. The crowd was just the other contestants didn't make a sound. But you know who was co-signing his ass off? That's right. The man with the sweater standing next to her. It's like, oh, this is so great. Oh, it's wonderful. And you know what? This will be I'll have to come back to this subject matter because this goes deep. This really does go deep. It goes deeper than what you're seeing. It goes deeper than some of you who may not know, thinking that I'm just kind of blowing something out of proportion. I promise you I'm not. But this is a deep issue. I'll have to come back to it at a different time. So anyway, moving forward, right? So now we've established who the woman in that relationship is. So this guy, I mean, if it wasn't, excuse me, if it wasn't all of that, it was the babe. He's a baber. I immediately knew that after all that. He was a baber, all of this other stuff. So eventually I found myself rooting against these people because I wanted them off the TV as quickly as possible. And yes, they ended up losing in spectacular form, and it made me feel so much better. Anyhow, let's talk. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that display that I saw? Which, by the way, was not relegated to that show, that episode. There was an episode on Idiot Test where one of the guys, did that whole thing. Women are smarter. We're just dumb. We're just dumb guys. Which, look, if that's genuinely how you feel, then feel that way. But don't pander. Don't be a goddamn pander bear. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. So, like I said, it was an episode there. It was the only show that I watched that wasn't completely nauseating was Family Feud. So anyhow, and even in going back to EmoGenius, there was a category where they were just kind of mocking because they give you like two different they give you like a setting, and they'll be like, okay, this is a text sent between, like, for example, it'll be like, oh, this is a text sent between a mother and a daughter about what mom wants for Mother's Day, and then it just gives you the text, and you got it, but the text is all emojis, so you have to figure out what she's trying to say. Like, for example, the one last night was like, a daughter texts her mother, what do you want for Mother's Day? Here's the mother's response, and it was two like kissy lips, and they're like, okay. And people are like, kisses, love, this, and that. No, the answer was tulips, two lips. So I was like, okay, I could dig that. I kind of like it. It's kind of, all right, that's cool. So anyway, one of them had to be, here's a text between two ladies, men. And of course, they went over the top. One of them looked super sleazy. The other one looked really, really effeminate. Because, I guess, we're that's what we are. So, and he's like, dude, what are you wearing? And then the guy responded back with a banana and a hammock. And again, first, I don't know any males, number one, who call themselves ladies men. Okay, that is a term that was invented by a third party. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know any guy that calls himself I'm a ladies' man. And if he does, there's a good chance he doesn't like ladies. So that term, right? I mean, there was the movie The Ladies' Man, which was hilarious. So you don't want a fifth sandwich? That movie's hilarious. But I just this it's just this false narrative, this false propagation. I don't know what you want to call it, a straw man. It's all of those things. Good God, it's annoying. It is really annoying. It is so annoying, and the answer is always, "Oh man, they're stupid. They're just, oh yeah, you're just so dumb. You're so dumb. You're so insecure." Well, okay. Well, we're not the ones that constantly have to prop ourselves up. Anyway, a little bit of Mott's apple juice. Shout out to the other apple juice fans. So that really bothered me, and I was like, "Look, I'm gonna have to get into this theory that I have, and like I said, it goes deeper than the time that we have today, folks. So I'll have to come back to it. But there is a theory that I've been working on, that I have been crafting, that I've been forging for going on about 10 years now. Because my whole thing was, where did all this soy boy energy come from? Like, why is it so pervasive? Why is just general masculine manliness like a taboo subject now? Well, there is a theory, and there is someone who I believe is to blame. And that person is fictional, but he was the star of a very popular television show. And that television show is The Office. And that character is Jim Halpert. Jim Halpert was the ultimate Trojan horse for soy boy. Some people call it beta. I don't really get too much into that, but whatever you want to call it, whether soy boy, beta, whatever you want to call it, Jim Halpert was the Trojan horse. He was the Trojan horse. Because you watch that show, and don't get me wrong, great show. Very entertaining show, hilarious, all of those things. Really enjoyed it. Genuinely enjoyed it. Including the last season. Like, because, you talk to most Office people, they're like, no. Once Michael left, it was terrible. That to me is kind of platitudinous. Like, that's an easy answer. That's a cop out, right? It was a different show when he left, absolutely, but it was still funny. So, or at least in my opinion, right? I mean, this is all opinion anyway. So, but Jim Halpert, why is he the Trojan horse? Well, if you look and you watch, number one, all of his interactions with Pam, where Pam was always the aggressor towards him. What was his response? He always gave in. God forbid he ever stood up on his principles, even though in a few of those arguments I do believe he was correct. And he was taking the correct stance. The only one that comes to mind right away was when Pam's mom started dating Michael. And he ended up apologizing, even though he said the right thing. He would never stand on his square with her. It was always, I'm sorry, you're right, I'm dumb, I'm sorry. Which, okay, if that was the only thing, that wouldn't be a problem. Let's look at Jim's interaction with other males. Well, when it was about goofy jokes, and just kind of like little subliminal passive aggressive attacks, he was all about it. But when it was about physicality, the chance for someone to get hurt, the part where words have failed, and now we will express ourselves in the primal animalistic way that we as a society should probably, we need to get a little bit more familiar with. He wanted no parts of that. Whether it was something simple like Dwight with the snowballs, whether it was Roy. Let's talk about Roy. Roy was a guy who worked in the warehouse, so he did manual labor. He was a bigger guy. Please note that he had a beard and a mustache. Jim did not have facial hair. So he did all of these things. He wanted to One of the things he enjoyed was spending time with the guys in the warehouse, going out for beer, drinking. And he was very sexually, let's say, forward with Pam. Like usually his interactions somehow revolved around sex, right? So he is basically a proxy for a quote unquote alpha type. Well, Jim, let's do Jim the same way. Jim was friend zone, which I tell people all the time, especially guys, sometimes girls, because you'll see girls say that goofy stuff all the time. I'm Pam looking for my Jim. In real life, guess what happens? Pam and Jim remain friends until Jim goes insane and says something in an emotional tirade and never talk to each other again. That's how it happens in real life. 9 times out of 10. Now, if you want to play those 1 out of 10 odds, by all means. But, so Jim, super friend zone, super, there was no kind of sexual kind of energy coming from him until later on when he kind of shot his shot before he was leaving. So, there was none of that. No facial hair, no musculature, worked a white collar job. Again, these are things, not saying that if you have any one of these things that you are a soy boy or a beta or whatever you want to call it, but I am saying that they were playing to archetypes. They were playing to stereotypes to make it, and that's not a negative thing, it's to make it easier. Stereotypes are a shorthand, among other things, but they are a shorthand, a way to understand a complex concept very quickly. So, you had that part about Jim. So we have our archetypes built, right? Well, and then, like I said, every time that there was that energy, anytime there was a confrontation, Jim wanted no parts of it. He was very happy playing like the little sneaky kind of, I'm trying to use a word besides feminine. These little games where it was just little subtle attacks here and there. Okay. And they were funny. Don't get me wrong, they were funny. But that man was the Trojan horse because what happens, you have a lot of people. I remember when I watched, I was about college age. You had a lot of people watching that show. And naturally what happens is that show is very popular with a lot of people, but it was really popular with females. I mean, females to this day, most of them at least I would say, have either seen the whole thing and multiple times, or they consider it one of their favorite shows. And some probably still watch it. It's still a very popular show if you have a streaming device of some sort. So the show is popular. So naturally, what happens when you have a show with a male character that's very popular to females? What naturally happens is males viewing it try to emulate him because the thought is, well, if they like him and I can be more like him, I'll be more like what she likes. And look, not knocking that either. That's part of the hunt, and that's fine. If that's what you do what you do. It makes sense. There really is no hard and fast with this. You got to do what you got to do. But nevertheless, now you have people, at least again, this is a theory of mine, trying to emulate this man who is not the best example of masculinity. I'll put it that way. So, in short, that is my theory, ladies and gentlemen, of how Jim Halpert, the ultimate Trojan horse, because he was the lead male character on a very wildly popular TV show. Some people argue that Michael Scott was the lead. I disagree from the standpoint that, again, one of those characters left, was written off the show, and the other one continued. And the show literally became all about him. So, but, like I said, The Office was a great show. Lots of laughs. It was it was probably one of the first sitcoms as an adult that I followed. Dexter was one as well. The Sopranos I kind of came in too late. But it was a good show. It was a good show, but there was um, there was a screw in the tuna. I will put it that way for all of you Keenan and Kel fans. Anyhow, that will wrap it up for today. Let me know what you think about it, man. And I saw that boy on Game Show Network, and I was so damn disgusted. But that's a Jim Halpert. That is a Jim Halpert, and there's plenty more. There's plenty more, and I'm curious to see where that relationship goes because honestly, I don't think they'll end up being married. I really don't. I really, really don't. You can't. Again, yeah, this will have to be a different discussion. But in short, fellas, you're in there. You have a role. You're a man. Your role is to be the man. You can't become the woman. So anyway, that'll do it for today. Gonna head and finish my apple juice. Baby's got me a beautiful breakfast downstairs. I can smell it. Heavy bacon, heavy potatoes, all that stuff that makes men go. All right. So I'll check in with y'all a little bit later. Until then, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Planet Hog. I am your High Chancellor Hog, and I will be coming at you guys later on. Peace.